Minyoung Park pushed her cleaning cart down the long hallway of the Grandview Hotel. Her back hurt from working since midnight, but she still had 2 more hours before her shift ended. The wheels on her cart squeaked with each step. She had tried to fix them many times, but they always squeaked again after a few days. It was 7 in the morning and the hotel was starting to wake up. Minyoung could hear voices from the conference rooms. Important people were gathering for some big meeting. She did not pay much attention to these things. Rich people came and went all the time at the Grandview. They had their meetings, ate their expensive food, and left. Minyoung just cleaned up after them. She stopped outside Conference Room A. The door had a sign that said, Global Innovation Summit, Private Event. Minyoung knew this meeting was special. The hotel manager had told all the cleaning staff to be extra careful today. Some of the richest people in the world were inside that room. Minyoung waited. The people inside were on their lunch break. She could hear them talking and laughing in the dining hall down the corridor. This was her chance to clean the room quickly before they came back. She opened the door and went inside. The room was huge. Large windows showed the New York City skyline. Expensive chairs surrounded a long table made of dark wood. Computer screens lined the walls. Everything looked perfect and clean already, but Minyoung knew her job. She emptied the small trash cans, wiped down the table, and made sure everything was in order. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. It was a text from her daughter Yuna. Mom, I need lunch money. I forgot to ask you this morning. Minyoung smiled and typed back quickly. Her 2 children were the reason she worked so hard. Every night shift, every sore muscle, every moment of tiredness was for them. She finished cleaning and pushed her cart toward the door. Then she remembered she had left her special cleaning spray on the window ledge. She walked back to get it, but her cart was blocking the door. She would come back for it later. 2 hours passed. Minyoung had cleaned 6 more rooms. She was getting ready to go home when she remembered the cleaning spray. It was expensive and she would have to pay for it if she lost it. She pushed her cart back to Conference Room A. When she got there, the hallway was empty. The security guard who usually stood by the door was gone. Minyoung could hear voices inside the room. The meeting had started again. She hesitated. Maybe she should wait until later. But she was tired and wanted to go home. She would just slip in quietly, grab her spray, and leave. She opened the door as quietly as she could. The room was full of people now. They all wore expensive suits and dresses. A man stood at the front pointing at a large screen. Nobody noticed Minyoung as she crept along the back wall toward the window. This is the future of community connection, the man at the front was saying. His name was James Chen. Minyoung could see his name on the screen. My team has developed an app that will change how people access services. Food banks, medical clinics, legal help, everything in one place. Minyoung froze. She stared at the screen. The pictures looked familiar. Very familiar. We did extensive research in underserved communities, James Chen continued. We talked to immigrants, low-income families, people who struggle to find help. This app will solve all their problems. Minyoung's heart started beating faster. She knew this app. Not just similar to it. She knew this exact app. The layout, the features, the way the screens looked. She had helped create something almost identical 3 years ago. The best part, James Chen said with a smile, is that we can charge a small monthly fee. Just $5 per user. With millions of potential users, the profit potential is enormous. $5. Minyoung felt her hands shake. The app she had helped build was completely free. It had to be free. The people who needed it could not afford to pay anything. She should leave. This was not her business. She was just a cleaning woman. These were billionaires and tech experts. What did she know? But she kept staring at the screen. She saw the feature that connected people to food banks. She had spent weeks working on that with volunteers from her church. She saw the translation service. Her friend Sung had coded that part, staying up late nights after his regular job. She saw the map that showed all the services. Young people from the community college had designed that. Any questions? James Chen asked the room. Minyoung's hand moved before her brain could stop it. She raised it in the air. Several people turned around. They looked confused. Who was this woman in a cleaning uniform standing at the back of the room? Yes, James Chen said, looking annoyed. Who are you? Minyoung's mouth felt dry. Her English was not perfect. She was just a simple woman from Korea who cleaned hotel rooms. But she could not stay quiet. "Excuse me," she said. Her voice was soft, but everyone was looking at her now so they could hear. "That idea already exists. I helped build it 3 years ago." The room went completely silent. Some people looked surprised. Others looked confused. A few people started to laugh quietly. James Chen's face turned red. "I'm sorry, but who are you? How did you get in here?" "My name is Minjung Park," she said. "I work here. I clean the hotel. And that app on your screen, I helped make it. For my community." In Queens, more people were laughing now. One man in an expensive suit whispered something to the woman next to him. They both smiled. "That's impossible," James Chen said. "This is original work by my team. We've been developing this for 2 years. You must be mistaken." "No," Minjung said, her voice stronger now. "Not mistaken. I remember because I worked very hard on it. We all did. People from my church, students from the college, volunteers from the neighborhood. We made it to help people, for free. It's not for money." "This is ridiculous," James Chen said. "Security. Can someone please escort this woman out?" But before security could arrive, a woman sitting near the front stood up. She was tall with dark hair and sharp eyes. Her name tag said, Sophia Reyes, Reyes Ventures. "Wait," Sophia said, looking at Minjung with interest. "Let her speak. I want to hear this." James Chen looked angry, but Sophia Reyes was one of the most powerful people in the room. He could not tell her what to do. "You say you built an app like this?" Sophia asked Minjung. "Can you prove it?" Minjung's hands were shaking, but she pulled out her old phone from her pocket. She opened an app and walked toward the front of the room. People moved aside as she passed. Some looked curious. Others looked annoyed that their meeting was being interrupted by a cleaning woman. She held up her phone. On the screen was an app that looked almost exactly like the one James Chen had been showing. "This is it," she said. "We launched it 3 years ago. It has 5,000 users, all from immigrant communities in Queens. It's free, always free." Sophia Reyes took the phone and looked at it carefully. She touched the screen, opening different features. Her eyes grew wider with each tap. "The timestamp shows this app was created in 2020, Sophia said slowly. She looked at James Chen. "When did you say your team started working on this?" James Chen's face was very red now. "That's just a coincidence. Community apps all look similar. My version is much more sophisticated." "It looks identical," Sophia said. She looked at Minjung again. "Tell me more about how you built this." At that moment, 2 security guards arrived at the door. The hotel manager was with them. He looked at Minjung with shock and anger. "Ms. Park, what are you doing?" "You need to leave immediately," the manager said. Minjung felt her face grow hot with shame. She had probably just lost her job. But she had already spoken. There was no going back now. "Wait," Sophia Reyes said, her voice firm and commanding. "She stays. I want to hear her story." She pointed to an empty chair at the big table. "Please, Ms. Park, sit down. Join us." The room erupted in whispers and shocked voices. A cleaning woman sitting at the table with billionaires? It was unthinkable. But Sophia Reyes was already pulling out the chair, waiting for Minjung to sit down. Minjung looked at her cleaning cart by the door. She looked at her old phone in Sophia's hand. She looked at the faces staring at her, some curious, some angry, some amused. Then she walked to the chair and sat down. Minjung sat in the expensive leather chair and tried not to shake. The chair was more comfortable than any seat she had ever sat in. Around the table, 50 of the richest people in the world stared at her. Some looked angry. Some looked confused. A few looked interested. The hotel manager stood by the door, his face red with embarrassment. He kept making hand signals at Minjung, trying to tell her to leave. But Sophia Reyes held up her hand. "Everyone, please sit down," Sophia said. "Let's hear what Ms. Park has to say." Slowly, people sat back down. James Chen remained standing at the front, his arms crossed. He did not look happy. "Ms. Park," Sophia said gently, "tell us about your app. Start from the beginning." Minjung took a deep breath. Her English was not perfect, but she would try her best. "I came to America 15 years ago," she began. "From Korea. I came with my 2 children. My husband died before we could come together." The room was quiet now. People were listening. "I started working at this hotel as a cleaner, night shift. The pay was not much, but it was enough. My children went to school during the day. I slept when they were at school. At night I cleaned. She paused, remembering those hard early years. But I noticed something. Many Korean people in my neighborhood were struggling. They did not speak English well. They did not know where to find help. Food banks, free medical clinics, legal aid, all these things existed, but people did not know about them. So you decided to build an app? Sophia asked. Not at first, Minjung said. At first, I just made a list on paper. I wrote down all the places that could help people. Food banks, clinics, free English classes, places that helped with immigration papers. I made copies and gave them to people at my church. A few people around the table nodded. This made sense to them. But paper lists got lost. Information changed. Places closed or moved. One day, a young man from the community college came to our church. His name was David Kim. He was studying computer programming. I asked him if he could help make my list into something on a phone. And he agreed? Sophia asked. Yes, but he said we needed more than just a list. We needed to make it easy to use. We needed to put everything in one place. So we started working together. Every Sunday after church we met. Other people joined us. Pastor Kim helped. Some college students helped. People who spoke different languages helped us translate. James Chen made a sound of disrespect. This is a nice story, but it doesn't prove anything. Lots of communities make simple apps. My version is professional, built by real engineers with real funding. Minjung looked at him. Your version looks exactly like mine. Same colors, same layout, same features. Even the little icon for the food bank is the same. Did you come to Queens? Did you take pictures of our app? The room got very quiet. This was a serious accusation. James Chen's face turned red again. My team did research in many neighborhoods. That's what good companies do. We observe, we learn, we improve. But we didn't steal anything. Let me see both apps side by side, Sophia said. She put Minjung's phone on the table and pulled out her own tablet. James, show me your version. James Chen looked like he wanted to refuse, but he could not. Too many important people were watching. He pulled out his laptop and opened his app on the big screen. Sophia looked at both carefully. She zoomed in on details. She opened different features. The room watched in silence. These are nearly identical, Sophia finally said. The structure, the design, the features. Even some of the wording is the same. That's just because community needs are similar everywhere, James Chen said quickly. Great minds think alike. Or, Sophia said coldly, one mind copied from another mind. A woman near the middle of the table raised her hand. She was older, with white hair and kind eyes. I have a question for Ms. Park. How many people use your app? About 5,000 people, Minjung said. Mostly Korean families at first, but now also Chinese families, Mexican families, African families. Word spread. People told their friends. And how much do you charge them? The woman asked. Nothing, Minjung said. It's free. It must be free. The people who need help cannot pay. They barely have money for food. But how do you keep it running? Another man asked. Apps cost money to maintain. Servers, updates, technical support. We use donations, Minjung explained. Small donations from church members. Sometimes $20, sometimes $5. One time someone gave us $100 and we were so happy. We also got a small grant from a community organization, $1,500. That helped a lot. The people around the table looked shocked. They were used to apps that cost millions of dollars to build and run. Let me understand this, Sophia said. You built an app that serves 5,000 people, costs almost nothing to run, and is completely free to users? Yes, Minjung said simply. And James, Sophia turned to look at him. You were planning to charge $5 per month for essentially the same app? James Chen looked defensive. Running a professional operation costs money. My team includes experienced engineers, designers, business analysts. We need to pay salaries. We need to make a profit. That's how business works. That's how you take advantage of poor people, Minjung said quietly. The room gasped. A cleaning woman had just accused a billionaire of exploiting the poor. Several people looked scandalized, but others looked thoughtful. $5 doesn't sound like much, Minjung continued. But for families who struggle to buy food, it's too much. They would not use the app. They would not get help. So what is the point? The point, James Chen said angrily, is to build a sustainable business model. I can't run a company on donations and hope. But I'm not running a company, Minjung said. I'm helping my community. Sophia leaned back in her chair. She looked at the other people around the table. This is interesting. Very interesting. We all talk about innovation. We talk about helping underserved communities. We talk about making the world better. But here sits a woman who actually did it, with almost no money, no fancy office, no big team, just volunteers and heart. A man in a dark blue suit spoke up. With all respect, Ms. Reyes, this is lovely, but we're here to discuss serious business ventures. Not charity projects. What, is it charity? Sophia asked. Or is it just business done differently? Another woman joined in. I think what Ms. Park did is admirable, but it's not scalable. You can't run major operations on donations and volunteer work. Why not? Minjung asked. Everyone looked at her in surprise. She continued, our app works. 5,000 people use it every day. It helps them find food. It helps them find doctors. It helps them with legal problems. We don't need a big office or expensive engineers. We just need people who care. But what if you wanted to expand? Someone asked. What if you wanted to help people in other cities? You'd need more money, more people, more organization. Then we would find volunteers in those cities, Minjung said. People who know their communities. People who care about their neighbors. Not people who want to make profit from poor people's struggles. James Chen slammed his hand on the table. Enough, this is absurd. We're wasting time listening to a cleaning woman lecture us about business. Security, please remove her now, but before security could move, 3 more people around the table stood up. I want to hear more, said one. Me too, said another. I think we should listen to what she has to say, said the third. Sophia Reyes smiled. It seems Ms. Park has supporters. James, sit down. Let's continue this conversation. James Chen looked around the room. He could see he was losing control of the situation. Slowly, he sat down. Ms. Park, Sophia said, let me ask you a direct question. When you saw James presenting an app that looks just like yours, how did you feel? Minjung thought for a moment. Angry, she said honestly. And sad. We worked so hard. We wanted to help people. And now someone wants to use the same idea to make money from those same people. It feels wrong. Did anyone from James's company ever contact you? Sophia asked. Did they ask permission to use your ideas? No, Minjung said. Nobody asked us anything. Sophia turned to James. Did your research team go to Queens? James Chen shifted in his seat. My team did research in various neighborhoods. I don't remember all the details. Did they take photos? Interview people? Look at existing community resources? Probably, James admitted. That's standard research. And did they mention finding an existing app that did exactly what you wanted to do? James Chen was quiet. I'll take that as a yes, Sophia said. She looked at the other people around the table. So here's what we have. A community created a solution to their own problem. They did it with minimal resources but maximum heart. Then a tech company came in, saw what they did, copied it, and planned to sell it back to them for profit. Does anyone else see a problem with this? Several people around the table looked uncomfortable. A few nodded slowly. One older man cleared his throat. To be fair, this happens all the time in tech. Companies see what works in small markets and scale it up. It's not really stealing. It's more like improvement. Improvement, Minjung said, her voice stronger now. You call it improvement to take something free and make people pay for it? You call it improvement to remove community control and give it to a corporation? That's not improvement. That's theft. The room fell silent again. The word theft hung in the air like a heavy cloud. Sophia Reyes walked back to her seat, but she did not sit down. She looked at her phone and smiled. Interesting, she said. This conversation is already on social media. James Chen's face went pale. What do you mean? Someone in this room has been posting updates, Sophia said, holding up her phone. The story is going viral. Cleaning lady confronts tech billionaire about stolen app idea. It has 10,000 shares already. A wave of nervous whispers filled the room. People pulled out their phones. Soon everyone was looking at screens, reading tweets and posts. The story was spreading fast. Who posted this? James Chen demanded, looking around the room. This is a private meeting. But no one admitted anything, and it did not matter anymore. The story was out there. Minjung felt her stomach turn. She did not understand social media very well. She barely used the internet except for work and talking to her children. What does this mean? She asked softly. Sophia sat down next to her. It means people are interested in your story. They want to know what happens next. A notification buzzed on Sophia's phone. Then another. And another. News websites are picking it up now, she said. CNN, the New York Times, TechCrunch. They all want to cover this story. The hotel manager rushed over to Minjung. Ms. Park, I think you should leave now. This has gone too far. We need to protect our guests' privacy. She's not going anywhere, Sophia said firmly. In fact, I think we need to finish this conversation properly. James Chen stood up again. This is ridiculous. I'm done here. My lawyers will handle this. He grabbed his laptop and started walking toward the door. James, wait, called out an older man with gray hair. His name was Robert Morrison, and he owned one of the biggest investment firms in the world. Don't you think we should talk about this? If the media is already involved, walking away will make you look guilty. James Chen stopped. He knew Robert was right. Leaving now would look bad. Very bad. Fine, James said, turning back around. But I want to be clear. My company did nothing wrong. We researched, we developed, we created value. That's what businesses do. By copying someone else's work? Asked a woman named Dr. Sarah Johnson. She ran a foundation that helped non-profit organizations. That doesn't sound like creating value. That sounds like taking it. We improved on the concept, James insisted. That's different. How? Minjung asked. She was not angry anymore, just curious. How did you improve it? James Chen looked surprised that she was asking him directly. Well, our app would be more professional. Better design. More features. Better security. Our app has good security, Minjung said. David Kim made sure of that. And our design is simple because we asked the users what they wanted. We tested it with real people from the community. Did you test your app with real people? James Chen did not answer right away. We ran focus groups, he finally said. With who? Minjung asked. With potential users? Poor people? Immigrants? People who don't speak English well? James Chen was quiet again. I thought so, Minjung said. You tested it with people you paid to sit in a room and answer questions. We tested it by giving it to our neighbors and asking them what they needed. That's the difference. More people around the table were nodding now. They were starting to understand. Sophia Reyes cleared her throat. I have a proposal, she said. What if we did something different here? What if, instead of arguing about who owns what idea, we actually worked together to make something better? What do you mean? Asked Robert Morrison. I mean, Sophia said, looking at Minjung and then at James. What if we funded Ms. Park's vision properly? What if we gave her the resources to expand her app to cities across the country? But we do it her way, community-controlled, free to users, focused on actually helping people, not making profit. James Chen laughed, but it was not a happy laugh. You want to invest millions of dollars into something that makes no profit? That's insane, is it? Sophia asked. Or is it just business that measures success differently? I don't invest in charity, said a man in an expensive Italian suit. His name was Marcus Chen, no relation to James. He owned a chain of luxury hotels. Neither do I, Sophia said. But I do invest in innovation. And real innovation often comes from unexpected places. Ms. Park created something that works with almost no resources. Imagine what she could do with real support. But there's no return on investment, Marcus argued. How would we make our money back? Not everything is about making money, said Dr. Johnson. Some things are about making impact. Easy for you to say, Marcus replied. You run a foundation. I run a business. The room started to divide. Some people agreed with Sophia. Others thought she was being unrealistic. The argument grew louder. Minjung sat quietly, listening. These people were deciding the future of her project, but she felt lost. They used words like scalability and return on investment and market penetration. She did not understand all of it. Finally, she raised her hand again. The room slowly got quiet. Can I say something? She asked. Of course, Sophia said. Minjung stood up. Her legs felt shaky, but she needed to stand. I don't understand all the business words you are using. I'm just a simple woman who cleans hotel rooms. But I understand people. I understand my neighbors. I understand what it's like to be scared and alone in a new country. She looked around the table, making eye contact with as many people as she could. When I first came to America, I was lost. I did not know where to find help. I did not know who to trust. I went to an emergency room once because my son was very sick. They helped him, but I did not understand the bill. I thought I would have to pay $10,000. I cried for days. The room was completely silent now. Later, someone at my church told me about a free clinic. They told me the hospital had a program to help people like me. They told me I did not have to pay. But nobody had told me this before. Why? Because nobody thought to tell people like me we were invisible. She paused, gathering her thoughts. That's why I made the app. Not for money, not for business, but so that other people like me would not feel invisible, so they would know where to find help, so they would know they matter. A few people around the table looked down at their hands. Some looked uncomfortable. You talk about profit and return on investment, Min-jung continued. But what about return on kindness? What about return on community? What about helping people because it's the right thing to do? Ms. Park, said Robert Morrison gently, I understand your heart is in the right place. But the reality is that big projects need big money, and big money needs to come from somewhere. Usually that means investors who expect something back. Then maybe I don't want big money, Min-jung said. Maybe small is better. Maybe slow is better. Maybe keeping control in the community is better than expanding fast and losing our purpose. Sophia Reyes stood up again. What if, she said slowly, we could do both? What if we could expand the project and keep it community-controlled? How? Several people asked at once. A non-profit structure, Sophia explained. We fund it, but the community governs it. Ms. Park and representatives from the communities being served make all the major decisions. Investors don't get profit, but we get tax benefits. And more importantly, we get to be part of something meaningful. James Chen shook his head. This is business suicide. You're asking billionaires to give away money for nothing. Not for nothing, Dr. Johnson said, standing up to join Sophia. For impact, for change, for proving that capitalism can do more than just make rich people richer. I'm interested, said a quiet voice from the back. Everyone turned. It was David Liu, a tech billionaire who had stayed silent until now. I grew up poor. My parents were immigrants. We use services like the ones Ms. Park's app provides. I've always wanted to give back, but I never knew how to do it authentically. This feels authentic. I'm interested too, said another voice. It was Margaret Okonkwo, who had built a successful software company. My mother was a cleaning woman, just like Ms. Park. She would have loved an app like this. One by one, more people spoke up. Not everyone. Some still thought it was a bad idea, but enough people were interested that Sophia's proposal started to feel real. Let's take a break, Robert Morrison suggested. Everyone needs time to think about this. Ms. Park, would you be willing to stay and talk more? Min-jung looked at her phone. Her shift had ended hours ago. She should go home. She should sleep. But she knew this moment was important. Yes, she said. I will stay. The hotel manager brought coffee and pastries for everyone. Min-jung had never tasted such expensive coffee before. It was smooth and rich, nothing like the instant coffee she made at home. During the break, several people came up to talk to her. Some wanted to know more about the app. Others wanted to know about her life. A few just wanted to shake her hand. Dr. Johnson sat down next to Min-jung. You're very brave, she said. Most people would not have spoken up like you did. I was scared, Min-jung admitted. I still am. I probably lost my job today. I don't think you lost your job, Dr. Johnson said with a smile. I think you might have just started a new one. When everyone came back to the table, Sophia Reyes had written out a proposal on a large paper pad. She showed it to the room. Here's what I'm suggesting, she said. We create a nonprofit called the Community Connect Network. Ms. Park serves as executive director. We form a board with majority representation from the communities being served. Investors commit funding but don't control decisions. The app remains free to users forever. We expand to new cities only when communities in those cities want us and are ready to participate. She looked around the room. Who's in? Several hands went up. Sophia counted. 7 people. That's $14 million in commitments so far. She looked at Min-jung. Would $14 million help you expand your app? Min-jung's mouth fell open. $14 million? She could not even imagine that much money. That's too much. I don't know how to manage that much money. You'll learn, Sophia said. And you'll have help. I'll make sure of it. But what if I fail? Min-jung asked. What if I can't do this? Sophia reached over and squeezed her hand. You've already succeeded. You built something real with almost nothing. Imagine what you can do with real resources. James Chen was still sitting at the table, his face dark with anger. This is all very touching, he said sarcastically. But you're forgetting something. I've already invested 2 years and millions of dollars into developing my version. I have patents pending. I have contracts signed. You can't just take my work. We're not taking your work, Sophia said calmly. We're investing in the original creator's work. Ms. Park's app existed first. Your patents might not hold up if challenged. Are you threatening me? James asked. No, Sophia said. I'm offering you a choice. You can fight this publicly and probably lose in the court of public opinion, or you can join us. Contribute your technical resources to help Ms. Park's vision reach more people. Be part of the solution instead of the problem. James Chen stared at Sophia for a long moment. Then he looked at Min Jung. Then he looked at all the people who had committed to invest in her project. I need to think about it, he finally said. Then he left the room. After he was gone, Robert Morrison spoke up. I want to add $5 million to the funding, he said. But I have one condition, Ms. Park, you need to promise me something. What? Min Jung asked nervously. Promise me you won't change, Robert said. Don't let the money change who you are or what you're trying to do. Stay true to your community. Stay true to your purpose. Min Jung thought about her children. She thought about her neighbors. She thought about all the people who used her app every day. I promise, she said. By late afternoon, the meeting had turned into something nobody expected. What started as a technology summit had become a discussion about how to do business differently. More importantly, it had become a conversation about who gets to be called an innovator. Sophia Reyes stood at the front of the room with a marker, writing notes on the large paper pad. The list of potential investors had grown to 12 people. The total funding commitment was now $25 million. Min Jung sat in her chair, still wearing her cleaning uniform, trying to understand what was happening. $25 million. For her small community app. It felt impossible. Like a dream she would wake up from any moment. We need to talk about structure, Sophia said. Ms. Park, this is important. You need to understand what we're proposing. Min Jung nodded, though her head was spinning with information. Sophia drew a simple chart. At the top, we have the board of directors. This board makes all major decisions. Who sits on this board? Community representatives, said Dr. Johnson. People from the neighborhoods being served. People who actually use the app. Exactly, Sophia agreed. She wrote this down. I'm suggesting 7 board members. 4 must be community representatives. 3 can be from the investor side. This way, the community always has majority control. What about Ms. Park? Asked Margaret Okonkwo. Where does she fit? Ms. Park is the executive director, Sophia explained. She runs the day-to-day operations. She reports to the board, but she has authority to make operational decisions. Min Jung raised her hand slowly. I don't know what operational decisions means. Sophia smiled patiently. It means the everyday choices about how the app works. What features to add. Which cities to expand to. How to spend the money. Big decisions still go to the board, but you have freedom to run things the way you think is best. But I've never run anything big before, Min Jung said. I clean hotel rooms. I don't know about business. David Liu, the tech billionaire who had grown up poor, spoke up. Ms. Park, I started my company in my garage. I didn't know anything about business either. But I knew my product. I knew my customers. You know your community. You know what they need. That's more important than business experience. Besides, Sophia added, we'll provide support, business advisors, legal help, technical expertise. You won't be alone. A younger woman raised her hand. Her name was Jessica Park, no relation to Min Jung. She ran a successful investment fund. I have a question about sustainability. How do we keep this going after the initial funding runs out? Good question, Sophia said. She wrote sustainability on the pad. Ms. Park, how does your current app stay running? Donations from community members, Min Jung explained. Small amounts. Sometimes churches give us money. Sometimes local businesses donate. We also got a grant once from a community foundation. Jessica frowned. That's not going to work at scale. If you're serving hundreds of thousands of people across the country, you need a more reliable funding model. What do you suggest? Sophia asked. We could charge businesses to be listed in the app, Jessica said, not the users. The users stay free, but if a clinic or food bank wants to be featured prominently, they pay a small fee. Min Jung shook her head. No, the clinics and food banks are nonprofit too. They don't have money. We can't charge them. What about corporate sponsors? Suggested another investor. Big companies that want to show they support community causes. Maybe, Minjung said slowly. But they can't control the app. They can't make us promote their products. Absolutely not, Sophia agreed. Sponsors can get their name listed as supporters, but they get no control over content or decisions. Robert Morrison cleared his throat. What about foundations? There are thousands of foundations that give grants to nonprofit technology projects. That could be a steady source of funding. That's better, Minjung said. We already got one small grant. Maybe we could get more. With this board and this mission, Dr. Johnson said, I guarantee you'll be able to get foundation grants. My foundation alone gives out $50 million a year to projects like this. They spent the next hour discussing details. How to hire staff. How to protect user privacy. How to measure success. Minjung listened carefully to everything, asking questions when she did not understand. We should talk about expansion, Sophia said. Ms. Park, which cities should we go to first? Minjung thought about this. Cities with large immigrant populations. Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, Houston, Boston. Places where people need help finding services. That makes sense, David Liu said. But how do we start in each city? We can't just drop an app and hope it works. We do it the same way I did in Queens, Minjung said. We find local partners. Churches, community centers, volunteer groups. People who already know the community and want to help. We train them to use the app and help add local information. Community organizing, Margaret Okonkwo said, nodding. Grassroots growth. It's slower, but it's more authentic. Exactly, Minjung said. Fast growth is not always good growth. We need to build trust. A man who had been quiet most of the meeting finally spoke up. His name was Thomas Wright, and he owned a media company. Have you thought about the media attention this is going to get? Your story is already going viral. By tomorrow, you'll be famous. Are you ready for that? Minjung felt her stomach drop. Famous? She did not want to be famous. She just wanted to help her community. I don't think I want to be famous, she said quietly. Thomas smiled gently. I understand. But it's already happening. The story is out there. Cleaning woman schools billionaires is a headline that writes itself. You need to be prepared. Prepared how? Minjung asked. You'll get interview requests. Lots of them. TV shows, podcasts, magazines. You'll need to decide which ones to do and which ones to decline. You'll need to control your message. I can help with that, Thomas offered. My company includes a PR firm. We can provide media training and help you navigate the attention. Minjung looked overwhelmed. Sophia noticed and stood up. Let's take another break. This is a lot of information. During the break, Minjung went to the bathroom. She looked at herself in the mirror. Her cleaning uniform was wrinkled. Her hair was messy. She looked tired and old. How could she possibly be the face of a $25 million project? Her phone rang. It was her daughter Yuna. Mom, are you okay? I saw something on the internet about you and Billionaires. What's happening? Minjung did not know how to explain. I'm still at the hotel. Something unexpected happened. I'll tell you when I get home. Mom, there are reporters outside our apartment building. They want to talk to you. What should I do? Reporters already? Minjung felt panic rising in her chest. Stay inside. Don't talk to anyone. I'll be home soon. She hung up and leaned against the sink. This was getting too big, too fast. Maybe she should just leave, go home. Forget all this happened. But then she thought about the app. About the grandmother who used it to find free diabetes medication. About the young mother who found a food bank when she had no money. About the teenager who used it to find free tutoring and got into college. She could not walk away. Not now. When she came back to the conference room, Sophia was waiting with a serious expression. We need to make a decision soon, she said. The media attention is growing. If we're going to do this, we need to announce it properly. Control the narrative. What kind of announcement? Minjung asked. A press conference, Thomas Wright said. Tomorrow morning. We introduce the Community Connect Network. We explain the funding. We tell your story the right way. Tomorrow. Minjung felt dizzy. That's too fast. Actually, it's necessary, Thomas said. Right now, the story is spinning in different directions. Some outlets are calling it a David versus Goliath story. Others are focusing on James Chen and whether he stole your idea. We need to shift the focus to the solution, not the problem. He's right, Sophia said. If we wait, the story gets away from us. What about James Chen? Margaret asked. Has anyone heard from him? As if on cue, the conference room door opened. James Chen walked in, followed by two other people. One was a lawyer. The other was a woman in a business suit who looked like an executive. The room went quiet. "I've made a decision," James said. He did not sound angry anymore. He sounded tired. "I talked to my team. I talked to my board. And I talked to my mother." He paused and looked directly at Min Jung. "My mother was a refugee from Vietnam. She came to America with nothing. She worked 3 jobs to support our family. She would have loved an app like yours." Min Jung did not know what to say. "I was wrong," James continued. "Not about the business model necessarily, but about the approach, about who this app should serve and how. My team did see your app during research. We thought we were improving it, but we weren't. We were just making it more expensive and less accessible." He took a breath. "I want to join your project, not as a leader, as a contributor. My company has technical resources, engineering talent, infrastructure. We can help you scale, but under your terms. Community control. Free to users. Mission before profit." Sophia looked shocked. So did everyone else in the room. "Why?" Min Jung asked simply. James smiled sadly. "Because my mother would be ashamed of me otherwise. And because you're right. Real innovation comes from understanding real problems, not from market research and focus groups." He extended his hand to Min Jung. "Can we start over?" Min Jung looked at his hand. She thought about everything that had happened today. How he had dismissed her. How he had tried to kick her out. How he had called her story ridiculous. But she also thought about second chances. About forgiveness. About working together instead of fighting. She shook his hand. "Yes, we can start over." The room broke into applause. Even people who had been skeptical looked impressed. Sophia stood up again, energized. "Okay, this changes things. With James's company on board, we have technical infrastructure already built. We can move faster. Miss Park, are you ready to do this?" Min Jung looked around the room. At the billionaires who wanted to invest. At James Chen, who had admitted he was wrong. At Sophia, who had believed in her from the start. At the chart on the wall showing their plan. She thought about her children. About her community. About all the people who needed help but did not know where to find it. "Yes," she said. "I'm ready." "Then let's plan this press conference," Thomas said. "We have a lot of work to do before tomorrow morning." They worked into the evening. Min Jung called her children to tell them she would be home late. She called Pastor Kim to tell him what was happening. He was shocked but supportive. "God works in mysterious ways," he said. By 9 o'clock they had a plan. The press conference would be at 10 the next morning. Min Jung would speak first, telling her story. Then Sophia would explain the funding structure. James would announce his company's contribution. Other investors would share why they were supporting the project. "What should I wear?" Min Jung asked suddenly. Everyone looked at her cleaning uniform. "Do you have other clothes?" Sophia asked gently. "Yes, but nothing fancy. Just normal clothes." "Wear normal clothes then," Sophia said. "This isn't about looking fancy. It's about being authentic." As the meeting finally ended, people came up to Min Jung one by one. They gave her their business cards. They promised support. They thanked her for teaching them something important. When everyone had left except Sophia, Min Jung sat down in one of the comfortable chairs. She was exhausted. Her feet hurt. Her head hurt. But her heart felt full. "How are you feeling?" Sophia asked. "Scared," Min Jung admitted. "What if I can't do this? What if I let everyone down?" Sophia sat next to her. "You won't. Do you know why? Because you're not doing this for yourself. You're doing it for your community. That's what makes you the right person to lead this." Min Jung nodded slowly. "Thank you for believing in me, for giving me a chance." "Thank you," Sophia said, "for reminding us what really matters." Min Jung barely slept that night. She got home after midnight. Her children were still awake, waiting for her. They had so many questions. She tried to explain everything that had happened, but it sounded impossible even to her own ears. "Mom, you're going to be on TV?" Her son Junho asked, his eyes wide. "I think so," Min Jung said. "Tomorrow morning." "A press conference." "Well, what's a press conference?" Yuna asked. "It's when you talk to lots of reporters at the same time," Min Jung explained. "They ask questions and you answer them. What will you say?" Junho asked. Min Jung thought about this. "The truth. I'll tell them the truth about why I made the app and what we're trying to do." She lay in bed staring at the ceiling. What would she wear? What would she say? What if she made a mistake? What if she embarrassed herself in front of the whole country? At 5 in the morning, she gave up trying to sleep. She made coffee and sat at her small kitchen table. Her hands were shaking a little. She looked around her tiny apartment. The walls needed paint. The furniture was old. The refrigerator made a humming noise that never stopped. This was her life. Simple, quiet, normal. Tomorrow, everything would change. Her phone buzzed. It was a text from Sophia. "Are you awake?" I couldn't sleep either. "Want to practice what you'll say?" Minjung smiled. Even billionaires got nervous sometimes. She called Sophia. "Good morning," Sophia said. "How are you feeling?" "Terrified," Minjung admitted. "Good. That means you care. Listen, I want you to remember something. You don't have to be perfect today. You just have to be yourself. Tell your story like you told it to us yesterday. That's all you need to do. What if I forget what to say?" Then pause. Take a breath. Remember why you're doing this. The words will come. They talked for 30 minutes. Sophia helped Minjung organize her thoughts. By the time they hung up, Minjung felt a little better. At 8 o'clock, a car came to pick her up. It was a nice car, much nicer than any she had ever ridden in. The driver was polite and called her Ms. Park. She wanted to tell him just to call her Minjung, but she stayed quiet. The press conference was being held at the same hotel where yesterday's meeting had happened. As the car pulled up, Minjung saw cameras everywhere. Reporters stood outside with microphones. News vans lined the street. "This is all for me?" she asked the driver. "Yes, ma'am," he said. "Your story is big news." Minjung felt her breakfast turn in her stomach. She wanted to tell the driver to keep going, to take her home. But the car stopped and Sophia was already coming to open the door. "You've got this," Sophia said, taking Minjung's hand. "Just breathe." They walked into the hotel together. The hotel manager, the same one who had tried to kick Minjung out yesterday, rushed over. "Ms. Park, I want to apologize for yesterday. I didn't understand the situation. I hope you can forgive me." "It's okay," Minjung said. She understood. He was just doing his job. Inside a preparation room, several people were waiting. James Chen was there, wearing a different expensive suit. Margaret Okonkwo was adjusting her jewelry. Dr. Johnson was reviewing notes. Robert Morrison was talking on his phone. When Minjung entered, they all stopped what they were doing. "You look perfect," Margaret said. Minjung was wearing a simple blue dress, the one she wore to church on Sundays. Nothing fancy, nothing expensive, just clean and neat. "The room is filling up," Thomas Wright said, looking at his tablet. "We have reporters from every major news outlet. CNN, BBC, The New York Times, Washington Post, and about 40 others." 40? Minjung felt dizzy. "Breathe," Sophia reminded her. "Just breathe." A young woman with a clipboard came in. "We're ready for you, Ms. Park. You'll go first. Speak for about 5 minutes, then we'll open it up for questions. If you don't want to answer a question, just say you need to think about it. Don't feel pressured. 5 minutes." Minjung could talk for 5 minutes. She had talked at church before. This was the same thing, just with more people, and cameras, and reporters, and the whole world watching. She felt her knees shake. Sophia squeezed her hand. "You walked into a room full of billionaires yesterday and told them the truth. This is no different." They walked down a hallway to the conference room. Minjung could hear the noise of many people talking. Cameras clicking, people moving around. The door opened. Bright lights hit her face. She could not see past the first row because of all the camera lights, but she could sense the room was full. Sophia led her to a podium. There was a microphone. Behind the podium was a screen showing the Community Connect Network logo, the same logo from her original app. Minjung stood at the microphone. The room got quiet. Every camera pointed at her. Every reporter had their pen ready. Everyone was waiting for her to speak. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. Her mind went blank. She forgot everything she had planned to say. 5 seconds passed. 10 seconds. The silence grew heavy. Then she saw in the third row a face she recognized. Pastor Kim. He had come to support her. He smiled and nodded at her. Minjung remembered why she was here. "My name is Minjung Park," she began. Her voice was quiet, but the microphone carried it through the room. "I am a cleaning woman. For 15 years I have worked at the Grandview Hotel, cleaning rooms while people sleep." She paused, looking at the sea of faces. "I came to America from Korea with my 2 children after my husband died. I did not speak English well. I did not know anyone. I did not know where to find help when I needed it. She saw reporters writing notes, cameras zooming in on her face. One day my son got very sick. I took him to the emergency room. They helped him, but I got a bill for $10,000. I was so scared. I thought I would lose everything. But then someone at my church told me about a program that helps people like me. The hospital had a program to forgive bills for people who cannot pay, but nobody had told me about it. Several reporters nodded. They understood. This happened to me many times. Free food banks existed, but I did not know where they were. Free English classes existed, but I did not know about them. Free legal help existed, but nobody told me. I felt invisible. Her voice got stronger. So I decided to make a list. Just a simple list on paper. All the places that could help people like me. I gave copies to people at my church. But paper gets lost. Information changes. So I asked a young man from the community college to help me make an app. She explained how they built it, how volunteers helped, how they tested it with real people, how it grew slowly through word of mouth. We made it free because the people who need help cannot pay. We made it simple because some people do not read well. We made it in many languages because not everyone speaks English. We made it for our community, by our community. She paused again, gathering courage for the next part. Yesterday I walked into a meeting by accident. I saw a presentation about an app that looked exactly like the one we built. But this version cost money. $5 per month? I could not stay quiet. $5 might not sound like much to some people, but for a family that is hungry, $5 is food. $5 is medicine. $5 is too much. The room was completely silent now. Every person was listening. I spoke up. I told them about our app. I expected them to laugh at me. Some did laugh. I expected them to kick me out. They tried. But some people listened. Some people cared. Some people understood that real innovation does not come from copying other people's work. It comes from listening to people's real problems. She looked at Sophia, who nodded encouragingly. Today, I am here to announce something I never imagined possible. The Community Connect Network will launch in 6 months. We have $25 million in funding from people who believe in our mission. We will expand to 15 cities. We will help hundreds of thousands of people find the services they need, and it will always be free, always community-controlled, always focused on helping people, not making profit. She stepped back from the microphone. The room erupted in applause. Cameras flashed. Reporters stood up shouting questions. Sophia came to the podium and calmed everyone down. We'll take questions in a moment. But first, let me introduce the other people who made this possible. One by one, the investors came forward. Each explained why they were supporting the project. James Chen stood up and publicly apologized for trying to commercialize community innovation. His honesty surprised many people. When it was time for questions, hands shot up everywhere. Ms. Park, how does it feel to go from cleaning hotel rooms to running a multi-million-dollar project? Minjung thought carefully. I am still the same person. I still care about the same things. The money is just a tool to help more people. It does not change who I am. What will you do with your salary? Another reporter asked. My salary? Minjung had not even thought about this. She looked at Sophia, confused. Sophia leaned into the microphone. Ms. Park will receive a reasonable salary appropriate for an executive director of a nonprofit. All salaries will be public and transparent. Will you quit your job at the hotel? Someone asked. Minjung nodded. Yes, I gave notice this morning. I thanked them for 15 good years. But now I have new work to do. Are you nervous about leading such a big project? Yes, Minjung said honestly. Very nervous. But I am more excited than nervous. This is a chance to help many people. How can I say no to that? What's your message to other immigrants who feel invisible? Minjung felt tears come to her eyes. This was the question that mattered most. You are not invisible, she said firmly. You matter. Your ideas matter. Your voice matters. Do not let anyone tell you that you have nothing to offer. You have everything to offer. Your experience, your struggle, your strength, these things are valuable. Speak up even when you are scared, especially when you are scared. The reporters kept asking questions for another 30 minutes. About funding, about expansion plans, about technical details. Sophia and James Chen answered most of these. Finally, the press conference ended. As Minjung stepped away from the podium, reporters rushed forward wanting individual interviews. Security guards helped her get through the crowd. In the preparation room, everyone was celebrating. You were amazing, Margaret said. Perfect, agreed Dr. Johnson. The story is already everywhere, Thomas said, showing his tablet. Trending on social media. Major news sites have it as their top story. This is exactly what we hoped for. Minjung sat down, suddenly exhausted. Her phone was buzzing constantly. Text messages from friends, calls from numbers she did not recognize, emails flooding in. You should probably turn that off for a while, Sophia suggested. Take a break. This has been a lot. I need to see my children, Minjung said. They must be worried. Of course, Sophia said. We have a car ready to take you home. Tomorrow we'll start planning the real work. But today, rest. Celebrate with your family. As Minjung was leaving, James Chen stopped her. Miss Park, I want you to know something. Yesterday I was angry and embarrassed. But you taught me something important. Success is not about how much money you make. It's about how many people you help. Thank you. Minjung nodded. Thank you for listening. Thank you for changing. The car took her home. When she got to her apartment building, her neighbors were waiting outside. They had seen the news. They cheered when she arrived. Mrs. Kim from downstairs hugged her. Mr. Lee from upstairs shook her hand. Young people took photos with her. You made us proud. Someone shouted. You showed them that we matter, said another. Inside her apartment, Yuna and Junho ran to hug her. Mom, you were on TV. Everyone at school is talking about it. Are you famous now? Junho asked. Minjung laughed. I don't know. Maybe for a little while. But I'm still your mom. That will never change. That evening, Pastor Kim came to visit with food from the church. Several community members came too. They sat in Minjung's small living room talking about the future. When you expand to other cities, Pastor Kim said, remember to do it the same way you did here. Find the local churches. Find the community leaders. Let them guide you. I will, Minjung promised. Community first, always. As everyone left and her children went to bed, Minjung sat alone at her kitchen table. She looked around her small apartment again. Tomorrow she would start looking for a bigger place. Tomorrow she would start her new job. Tomorrow her new life would begin, but tonight she was just Minjung. A mother, a member of her community, a simple woman who had spoken up when it mattered, and somehow that had changed everything. 6 months later, Minjung stood in a small office in downtown Manhattan. It was not fancy, but it had windows that let in sunlight. The walls were painted white. Desks lined the room. Computer screens glowed. Young people worked at their computers, speaking in many different languages. This was the headquarters of the Community Connect network. Her headquarters. Minjung, we have the Chicago team on video call, said David Kim, who now worked as the chief technology officer. He was the same college student who had helped her build the first version of the app 3 years ago. Minjung walked to the conference room. On the screen, 5 people sat around a table in Chicago. They were community leaders just like she had been. They looked nervous but excited. Hello, everyone, Minjung said with a warm smile. Thank you for joining our network. Tell me about your community. What do people need most? For the next hour, they talked. The Chicago team explained the problems their community faced. Minjung listened carefully, taking notes. She asked questions. She gave advice based on what worked in Queens. Remember, she told them, you know your community better than anyone. We give you the tools and support, but you make the decisions. This is your project, not ours. After the call ended, Minjung sat back in her chair. Chicago was the 15th city. 15 cities in 6 months. Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle, Boston, Atlanta, Houston, Phoenix, Philadelphia, Detroit, Miami, Denver, Portland, Austin, Minneapolis, and now Chicago. Each city had its own team. Each team was run by people from the local community. Each team decided what services to include, how to reach people, and how to build trust. The Community Connect network provided funding, technology, and support, but the communities controlled everything. It was working. The app now had over 200,000 users. Free to everyone, available in 23 languages. Connecting people to food banks, medical clinics, legal aid, housing assistance, job training, English classes, mental health services, and hundreds of other resources. Every day, Minjung received messages from people the app had helped. A single mother who found free childcare, a refugee who found legal help with immigration papers, an elderly man who found free medicine for his heart condition, a teenager who found a scholarship program and got into college. These messages kept her going through the hard days, and there were many hard days. Running a large organization was much harder than she had imagined. There were budgets to manage, staff to hire, problems to solve, disagreements to handle. Some days she felt overwhelmed. Some days she wanted to quit, but then she would remember why she started. She would remember feeling invisible and alone in a new country. She would remember the fear of not knowing where to find help. She would remember that feeling and she would keep going. Sofia Reyes visited the office at least once a week. She had become more than an investor. She had become a mentor and friend. "How are you holding up?" Sofia asked, sitting in Minjung's small office. "Tired," Minjung admitted. "Happy but tired. There is so much to do, so many decisions to make." "You're doing amazingly well," Sofia said. "Better than I expected, honestly. You've stayed true to your vision while building something that actually works. That's rare." "James Chen's team has been very helpful," Minjung said. "I did not think we would work well together. But we do." James had kept his promise. His company provided technical infrastructure and engineering support. His staff helped train the local teams. He attended board meetings and gave good advice. He had truly changed. "He learned something important," Sofia said. "We all did. Innovation is not about having the newest technology or the biggest budget. It's about understanding real problems and finding real solutions." Minjung's phone buzzed. It was a text from Yuna, her daughter. "Mom, I got accepted to NYU. Full scholarship." Minjung's eyes filled with tears. She showed the text to Sofia. "That's wonderful," Sofia said. "What will she study?" "Social work," Minjung said proudly. "She wants to help communities like I do. She says I inspired her." "You've inspired a lot of people," Sofia said. "Do you know how many community leaders have reached out wanting to start similar projects in their cities?" "Hundreds. You started a movement. It was true." The success of Community Connect Network had inspired others. In cities they had not expanded to yet, people were building their own versions. Some reached out for advice. Minjung always answered. She shared everything she had learned. She wanted others to succeed. "We got another foundation grant," Sofia mentioned. $3 million over 3 years. With all the grants and donations combined, the project is now sustainable. Even after the initial investor funding runs out, you'll be fine. This was the news Minjung had been hoping for. Sustainability. The ability to keep going without depending on a few wealthy individuals. It meant the project was real. It would last. "There's something else I want to talk about," Sofia said. "You've been invited to speak at the United Nations next month. They're having a conference on technology and poverty. They want you to share your story." The United Nations. Minjung could hardly believe it. A year ago she was cleaning hotel rooms. Now she was being invited to speak at the United Nations. "Will you do it?" Sofia asked. Minjung thought about this. She still did not like public speaking. She still got nervous in front of cameras. But she had learned something important over the past 6 months. Her voice mattered. Her story mattered. If speaking could inspire others to create similar projects, then she had to do it. "Yes," she said. "I'll do it." That evening, Minjung went home to her new apartment. It was bigger than the old one. 2 bedrooms instead of 1. A kitchen with a refrigerator that did not hum. Windows that looked out over the neighborhood. But she had stayed in the same area. Queens, her community. She could have moved to a fancy neighborhood, but she did not want to. This was her home. These were her people. Her children were waiting with dinner. They had cooked together, wanting to surprise her. The table was set. Candles were lit. "What's the occasion?" Minjung asked. "We wanted to celebrate," Yuna said. "Your app just helped its 200,000th person today. We saw the announcement. They ate dinner together, talking about their days." Yuna talked about college plans. Yoonhyo talked about his science project. Minjung talked about the Chicago launch. It felt normal. Wonderfully, perfectly normal. Despite everything that had changed, they were still a family. Still together. Still supporting each other. After dinner, Minjung sat on the couch with a cup of tea. She opened her laptop to check emails. There were dozens. Requests for interviews. Invitations to speak at conferences. Questions from new cities wanting to join the network. Messages from people the app had helped. One email caught her attention. It was from a woman in Seattle named Maria Lopez. "Dear Ms. Park, I am a custodial worker at a hospital. I used your app to find legal help when I was facing eviction. The app saved my home. But I also have an idea. I've been talking to other hospital workers, and we want to build an app to help people find affordable housing. Could you help us get started? Minjung smiled. This was exactly what she hoped would happen. People taking action in their own communities. Not waiting for someone else to solve their problems. Building solutions themselves, she wrote back immediately.
Dear Maria, I would love to help.
Let's schedule a call next week. Your idea is important. Your voice matters. Let's build something together. She sent the email and closed her laptop. Through the window, she could see her neighborhood. The Korean grocery store where she shopped. The church where her project had started. The community college where David Kim had studied. The streets where she had walked for 15 years. Going to and from her night shift at the hotel. Everything looked the same, but everything was different. A year ago, she had walked into a Billionaires meeting by accident. She had been scared and uncertain. She had almost stayed quiet. She had almost let the moment pass, but she had spoken up. She had told her truth. She had stood up for her community. And that one moment had changed everything, not just for her. For thousands of people who now had access to help they desperately needed. For community leaders in 15 cities who were building power in their own neighborhoods. For other immigrants who saw her story and felt less invisible. For her children, who learned that ordinary people can do extraordinary things. The phone rang. It was Pastor Kim. Minjung, I'm calling about something important, he said. Remember Mrs. Chen from our church? The one with the sick husband? Yes, of course, Minjung said. Mrs. Chen had been one of the first people to use her app. She wants to tell you something. Can you come to church tomorrow? She'll be there. Of course, Minjung said. I'll come. The next day after church service, Mrs. Chen approached Minjung with tears in her eyes. She was holding Minjung's hands. Thank you, Mrs. Chen said in Korean. Because of your app, I found a free clinic that treated my husband's cancer. The doctors said if we had waited one more month, it would have been too late. You saved his life. Minjung felt tears running down her own face. I'm so glad. I'm so happy for you. Not just glad, Mrs. Chen said firmly. You need to understand. You didn't just help us. You saved us, and not just my family. So many families. You are a hero to our community. I'm not a hero, Minjung said. I'm just someone who tried to help. That's what heroes do, Mrs. Chen said. They see a problem and they try to help. Even when it's hard. Even when people don't believe in them. You did that. You are a hero. After church, Minjung walked through the neighborhood. People recognized her now. They waved. They thanked her. They stopped to tell her how the app had helped them, or someone they knew. She walked past the Grandview Hotel. She stopped and looked up at the building where she had worked for 15 years. So many nights spent cleaning rooms. So many times her back hurt. So many times she felt invisible. But she had never been invisible. She had always mattered. She just had not known it yet. Her phone buzzed. It was a message from James Chen. The board meeting is next week. Are you ready to present the 6-month report? Minjung smiled and typed back. Yes, ready. The board meeting was held in the same hotel conference room where everything had started. The same room where she had walked in by accident. The same room where she had spoken up. The same room that had changed her life. But now she walked in through the front door. Not as a cleaning woman, as the executive director, as a leader, as someone with important work to do. The board members were already there. 4 community representatives, 3 investors. Sophia sat at the head of the table, but she gestured for Minjung to start the meeting. Minjung stood at the front of the room. No more nervousness. No more fear. She knew what she was doing now. She had learned and grown so much in 6 months. Good afternoon, everyone, she said confidently. I'm pleased to report that the Community Connect network has exceeded all our goals for the first 6 months. She presented numbers. 200,000 users across 15 cities, 92% user satisfaction rate, partnerships with over 3,000 service organizations, sustainable funding secured for the next 5 years. But then she shared something more important. Stories. Real stories from real people. About lives changed. Problem solved. Hope restored. When she finished, the board members applauded. This is exactly what we hoped for, Sophia said. Minjung, you've done something remarkable. You've proven that community-led solutions can work at scale. You've shown that business can be done differently. You've changed how we think about innovation. Thank you, Minjung said. But I did not do this alone. Every person in this room contributed. Every community member who volunteered. Every user who told their friends about the app. Every staff member who worked hard. This is our success, not mine. After the meeting, as everyone was leaving, a young woman approached Min-jung nervously. She was wearing a hotel uniform. A cleaning uniform. "Excuse me, Ms. Park," the young woman said quietly. "My name is Anna. I clean this hotel now. I have an idea for helping homeless youth find resources. I've been too scared to tell anyone. But when I saw what you did, I thought maybe I could do something too. Would you have time to talk with me?" Min-jung looked at this young woman. She saw herself from a year ago, scared but hopeful, wanting to help but not knowing how, full of ideas but afraid to speak up. She smiled warmly and pulled out a chair at the big conference table. "Sit down," she said. "Tell me everything. I have all the time you need." As Anna began to speak, Min-jung pulled out her phone to take notes. She asked questions. She listened carefully. She took Anna's ideas seriously. This was what mattered most. Not the money, not the fame, not the fancy title this moment. Right here. Listening to someone who felt invisible and showing them that they mattered, that their ideas were valuable, that their voice deserved to be heard. 1 year ago, someone had done this for her. Sophia had listened. Sophia had believed in her. Sophia had given her a chance. Now it was Min-jung's turn to do the same for someone else, and then Anna would do it for someone else, and that person would do it for another. And slowly, one person at a time, one community at a time, the world would change. Not because of billionaires or big companies or fancy technology, but because ordinary people decided to speak up, decided to help each other, decided that everyone matters. As Min-jung listened to Anna's passionate explanation about her idea, she remembered what Mrs. Chen had called her. A hero. Maybe she was right, but not because Min-jung had done something extraordinary. Because she had done something simple that anyone could do. She had seen a problem. She had tried to help. She had spoken up when it mattered. She had refused to stay invisible. And in doing so, she had shown thousands of other people that they did not have to stay invisible either. That evening, Min-jung returned to her office. She sat at her desk and looked at the photo she kept there. It was from that first day, 6 months ago, the press conference. Her in her simple dress standing at the podium, terrified but determined. Next to it was another photo, more recent, Min-jung with the Chicago team at their launch event. Everyone smiling. Everyone proud. Everyone knowing they were part of something important. She opened her laptop to write in her journal, something she had started doing every day. At the top of the page, she wrote the date. Then she wrote, "Today I met a young woman named Anna. She reminded me of myself 1 year ago, full of ideas but scared to share them. I listened to her. I believed in her. Tomorrow I will help her get started, because someone did that for me. Because that's how change happens. One person listening to another. One person believing in another. One person helping another. This is what I learned from walking into that Billionaires meeting. Your background does not matter. Your job does not matter. Your education does not matter. What matters is your heart, your courage, your willingness to speak up for what is right. I am still the same person I was a year ago. I still care about the same things. I still want to help my community. The only difference is that now I know my voice matters. Now I know I'm not invisible. Now I know that simple people can do important things, and if I can do it, anyone can. That is the message I want to share. Not that I am special, but that everyone is special. Everyone has something to offer. Everyone deserves to be heard. Tomorrow I will help Anna. Next month I will speak at the United Nations. Next year we will expand to 20 more cities. But today I am just Min-jung, a mother, a friend, a member of my community. A simple woman who walked into a room and changed her life by speaking the truth. And that is enough. That is more than enough. That is everything. She closed her laptop and turned off the lights. Through the office windows, she could see the New York City skyline. Millions of people in the city. Millions of stories. Millions of ideas. Millions of people who felt invisible but were not. Her job was to help them see that. To help them find their voice. To help them know they mattered. It was a big job. An important job. A job that would never really be finished. But it was her job. And she was ready for it. Min-jung Park, the simple woman who had walked into a Billionaires meeting, had found her purpose. And in doing so, she had given hope to countless others to find theirs. The end was really just the beginning.